Hello. Hello and welcome back to Harmony Yoga. I'm Julie Farmer and I am here today trying out a new location, probably not so good in front of the window, so give me some feedback about that, with a new light. So we'll just give it a go. I mean, this isn't about perfection, right? This is just about getting our practice in and being able to share. So the theme that I want to talk about today is the narrative, the story that we tell ourselves, and the freedom of being able to change your narrative. The freedom to be able to make a choice about the stories you tell yourself. So yoga does that for us, right? Yoga allows us to come outside of our comfort zone, try something new that we've never thought of or we thought we would never try, and then we begin to notice our response to that challenge. So do we want to run away, or do we give ourselves the chance to try, to sit, to shift, and to learn something new? So the beautiful thing, as long as we are living and breathing, our brain has neuroplasticity. Now, sometimes in our life, maybe there's a little more or less room around that neuroplasticity, but we always have a chance to learn something new and to change the way our brains are wired. So you've heard that before. If you want to change things up, maybe change the route that you go to work, or try a new restaurant or a new food on the menu, just anything new that kind of changes things up. And that's what yoga does for us each and every time. So unless you do a practice that is very repetitive, the same things over and over and over and over, by definition, everything is new. And particularly when you tune in here, you'll never see the same class. I've never taught the same class twice because I like it new and fresh, and I think that's good for all of us. So join me here in a quiet space, sitting up tall, elongating the spine, reaching up through the crown of the head, and shifting yourself slightly backward. So I want you to begin to notice and trust the universal support that is behind us. And contrast that with the forward motion of most of the day. I notice I like to sleep on my side and I'm kind of in this hunched over position. So yoga helps me open and lean back. So doing so with your hands in your lap, and again, you can be seated like this on your heels, you can be sitting cross-legged, and if that is uncomfortable for you, grab a yoga block or a stack of books and sit your hips. Look at how much higher my hips are now than my knees. I can gently open my knees out to the side, pulling the low back in and up, opening the heart, closing the eyes, and becoming present in this space. Now in my yoga space, I have some essential oils that I like to use. I just put some on the bottoms of my feet for a little grounding practice. I've got oils that I can place all over my body, even some that I like to place on the crown of my head, just kind of moving in this energy here, maybe even put it on my throat or the back of my neck. So if you want to learn more about the oils, reach out to me. I'm always happy to share what I know. I've been doing the oils in my own health practice for, probably 20 years, thanks to my sister-in-law. I thought she was crazy at first, and they've been one of just the greatest gifts of my life, along with yoga. And so that's why I just love to share. So in this seated position now, just begin to warm up the spine by drawing the spine forward and back, dropping the head, scooping the tailbone, and match that with the breath. Now inhale forward. And exhale, move the spine back. Let's go one more time here. Moving the spine back. And then come to a neutral spine. And let's move, placing one hand down and the other hand up, and even turning and looking up under the armpit. And then let's switch. So we're stretching out now the sides of the body. If it's been a while since you've been on your mat, or like me, if you've tweaked your back somehow, go gently here. You want to listen to the body as you go. So doing 2 times each side, sometimes the body goes, oh yeah, I remember we were just here, and sometimes you can get a little more opening that way. And then again, recreating that tall spine, rotating the shoulders back. Now, twist to the side. So one hand comes over to the opposite leg. This hand behind you, I'm up on my fingertips, so I'm up nice and tall, still sitting on the block. But if you prefer, you can do it with your hips on the ground. But just make sure you're not starting to close in and curve downward. because you've lost that block, right? We still want the low back pulled in and up, turning, and then let's go to the other side. Inhale, pull the low back in with an inhale, exhale, turn. Inhale and exhale. Nice job. Come back to center. We're going to come to our yoga mat now and take a couple rounds of sun salutation. So go ahead and come to standing and have your block available so you can use that in your first forward fold. So inhale with your feet parallel and hip width apart. Inhale, lift the arms up, and exhale, reach down, find the block, and inhale, lift halfway up, and exhale, release back down. Do that one more time here, and just notice the shift that's happening already, using the breath to match the movement that starts to help the body learn to open. And now step the right foot back and drop the back knee down. Inhale, reach the arms up to the sky. Hug the arms toward each other as if you're hugging into this imaginary block, or you can even bring the block with you. Notice what happens when you hug in with your arms and hug in with your legs. We lengthen from the knee all the way up to the fingertips. And then rotate over to the left. Bring that block down, either set it aside, or you can hang on to it if you like, but you can open the left hand out to the left. Right hand can be on the left knee, or take it up a notch. Take the right elbow over the left knee, press the hands together here, press the elbow into the knee. Now, if you want to take it up another notch, here, I'll move the block so you can see I'm going to straighten the back leg. Yeah, and then one more challenge would be to open the arms. Nice, and turn and look up to the top hand. Beautiful. Reach down, step back to downward facing dog. And here we're going to pedal our legs out. Again, if it's been a while since you've opened up the tissues, the back of the legs, you want to go gently here. If you're used to being on your mat every day, your body may respond a little quicker, but you want to be gentle with your body. I like to take my hips side to side. Good, and drop your knees down, reach back around, bring the right foot forward. And then the same thing, we're going to reach up, and again, you can grab the block or you can use an imaginary block, hugging in, hug the legs together and feel the length that occurs. Take another deep breath in. Slowly start to turn now over to the right. Bring the left hand to the right knee, right hand behind you. Or the elbow with the hands together, pressing the elbow and the knee together, pressing the hands together. Again, take it up a notch if you like by straightening the back leg. And maybe even separating the arms, looking up toward the top hand. Using the breath, breathe in, whatever position you're in, we're breathing in, hugging in, exhale, extending out. And then reaching down, stepping forward, forward fold. Again, you've got the block here if you need it. Or maybe you feel you're a little more open here. You can touch the floor. But I want you to keep lifting up through the sitting bones up toward the sky. And even if you need to bend your knees, notice I can still keep pointing my sitting bones up toward the sky. Can you see that? Even with my knees bent? Versus, here's the opposite thing. If I'm tight here, this starts to point down toward the ground. I can really feel that in my low back. So pull the low back in. See, I can bend my knees or keep my legs straight, but I can still pull in here, and it's still a nice, gentle stretch. Now bring your hands to your hips, bend your knees, lift your head and heart forward, elbows up toward the sky, and then push down to rise up. Good, let's go around again. Inhale, lift up, and exhale, release down. Inhale, lift halfway up, and release back down. This time the left leg goes back to deep lunge. Come up onto your left fingertips. Keep your back thigh nice, and see how high my back thigh is versus this, right? We want to keep that back thigh lifted, really pushing into the front knee. And I'm going to move my arm so you can see. My knee is right over my ankle, right? So up on my left hand, my left fingertips, I'm going to reach the right arm up to the sky. So again, a nice gentle twist here. Breathe in. And exhale, grab the block. Place it to the outside of your right foot and swivel your left heel down. Again, the knee is right over the ankle, so I'm not in front of, right? I'm right over. Move the thighs back, scoop the tailbone, lift the top arm up to the sky. My right arm is on the block, or even over the ear. Turn and look up under the armpit. Now, if you want to, I'm kind of sneaking my back foot back a little bit because really my front foot is considered load bearing. So if I want to create more distance here, I'm going to do that with my back foot. So I'm trying to figure out how I can stay in the screen. I think I need like a videography lesson. So hook me up if you know someone. Good. Reach down now. Move the block out of the way. Come to the top of a push-up position. And notice my hips aren't sagging and I'm not in down dog, right? I'm in between. So my shoulders are right over my wrists. My hips are lifted. Now here's the challenge. I want you to come down onto one elbow and then the other elbow. Still strong with my hips. I'm not lifted, but I'm not hovering on the ground either. I'm lifted. Draw the belly button toward the spine. Good. Drop the knees. Take the knees wide apart. Sit the hips back to child's pose. Release the forehead to the floor, to your stacked arms, or to the block. Staying with the breath. Reach the arms out. We're going to come back up to downward facing dog. This time step the left foot forward, right? So we're bent, the knee is right over the ankle, the back thigh is lifted, and then reach the top arm up to the sky. You can even come up a little bit onto your fingertips or a block. The block is just a prop that helps bring the earth up to us so we don't have to reach and come out of that alignment to find the block, or to find the earth, I should say. Good. Now swivel the back heel down. Take the block on the outside of the left knee, spin over toward the right, take the right shoulder back, bending into the left knee, right arm up to the sky or over the ear. So staying an extra breath here, and notice how that feels to stay. Do you want to rush out of the posture, or are you happy to stay and just learn what there is to learn in this posture? Step the back foot forward, forward fold. Go ahead and come down onto your knees. Take your hands down to the mat, and then I want you to notice how my shoulder is right over my wrist, and I'm going to walk my hands forward, one hand's length. My knees are right under my hips, curling the toes under. I'm going to pull up into downward facing dog. So here's the challenge. See if you can stay here for 5 breaths. Inhale, move your hips back. Exhale, see if you can relax your heart to the earth. Come forward to plank. Kind of get myself back into the screen here. And in plank, can you hold this for a count of 5? 5 breaths, I should say. Good job. Drop your knees. Face forward. So I love that little practice of counting the breaths And maybe you notice when you're really tense, your breath happens really quick. So it's, 5 breaths is not quite as long. And that's okay, right? Over time, our practice will begin to be lengthening the breath. Crossing the right ankle over the left knee, lift and engage the toes here so that the energy is pulling up the left leg. And then take your hand on the ankle and the knee and inhale, pull the low back in and lift the heart. Push the hips back as you start to reach your heart forward towards your left foot. And breathe here. Let's see if we can count 5 breaths here. That's already 1, 2, 3, 4. Good, and rise. Extend both legs, push into the earth behind you, lift and open the heart. And then let's cross the left ankle over the right. We're going to engage both feet. I should have said that before. Both toes, the toes on both feet are lifted and separated. Hands on the ankle and the knee. Pull, you're not actually pulling that leg toward you. It's going to stay, but the action is pulling toward you, so you can use that to pull the low back in and lift the heart. And then push the hips back, keep the spine strong, and now you're just reaching the heart and the head beyond the straight leg, beyond that foot. So that's probably 2 breaths already right there, right? Let's do 3 more. Good, and slowly rise. Bring the soles of the feet together, grabbing onto the ankles, wrapping your 2 fingers around your big toes, or pushing into the earth behind you. Either way, the spine is tall, the heart is lifted, the low back is pulled up. And just letting the knees naturally open toward the earth. So we're not pushing the knees down, but by centering or by aiming the groins toward the earth and by pulling the low back in, we let the knees open. Taking 1 more deep breath here. And let go. So let's come into a lying twist, and I'm going to face you this way so I don't get into bumping into the wall here. So a lying twist looks like this. You've got a couple options here. So hopefully this will work. Maybe go a little sideways. Okay, so you're going to hug the knees into your chest, and feel free to roll here side to side, freeing up the tension in the low back. And then come to resting. Let's the whole body. How about we come into the fetal position on the right side, and then the right arm can cradle the head, the left arm up to the sky. Actually, I changed my mind. Let's stretch the right arm out to the right, and then slowly you're going to let your heart open, your head open, and the left arm open out to the left. You're even going to look out to the left, and the right hand can be on the left knee or reaching out to the right. So I want you to stretch out in all directions. Your knees move away, your hips move away from your shoulder. And then slowly come back to center. And then let's do the same thing the other side. We rotate all the way over onto the left. Left hand can be on the knee or outstretched. And then the right arm slowly, like this. This might be where you end up here. You may not get all the way to the floor. Taking your time here. With every exhale, can you release a little bit more to the earth? Allowing yourself to stretch out in all directions, getting the hip out of the shoulder area. You can even use your hand to push that hip away. Good, and then come back to center. Okay, and here we're going to start off, let's grab behind the knees, opening the knees out to the side. So I'm creating a little bit of distance here. And then if that's okay, then I can grab my little toes, and the feet are right above the knees. So the hands are pulling the feet down, but the action is trying to push up through, like I'm trying to straighten my legs. The low back begins to lift. We take one more deep breath in. Good, and hug the knees into the chest. And roll onto your right side. Push yourself up to a seated position. So I'm going to do something a little bit different today. We normally are in a lying Shavasana position, but today I want to end in this upright posture. Turning your attention inside to the way your body feels by that simple practice today. Staying in tune to your breath. Feel this natural tendency to appreciate where you started in today's practice and how you feel right now. So that's called being in the gain, where you notice how far you've come today. Being in the gap is recognizing how far it is to where you want to be. Having goals is great, but we want to steep ourselves in that energy of, oh, look how much more open I feel today, versus, oh, I wish that I could hold down dog for 5 breaths. That's okay to have that goal, but we appreciate however many breaths you were able to stand in down dog or in plank pose. And in gratitude for this practice, for the body, for your willingness to try something new, and for your willingness to trust me, who you may or may not know. I honor you. I honor the time that we've spent together today. So we bring our hands together in front of the heart and bow in that direction in gratitude and thanksgiving. Namaste.